Thank you, Ambassador Carson. So here we go. First panel, the regional leaders. You guys, when Jason told the story of talking about the idea for the Global Summit on the LRA, it was true. Not only did he say we need to try to get 10,000 people to come and rent 150,000 square feet of space in the center of Washington, we also dreamt up the idea together of what if we invite representatives from the top 10 countries and institutions that have the highest stake in seeing a peaceful end to LRA violence. And I gotta be honest, I didn't know how to do that. How do you invite world leaders to your event? I Google searched it, you know? And through a lot of help of people in this room, a lot of folks seated in these first few rows, and then a lot of help from the gentleman that I get to introduce right here, we were able to successfully message all 10 of these governments and institutions. All 10 of them got a formal invitation to be here this morning. And it's gonna be my honor to bring some of the incredible high-level representatives up on the stage here in a moment. Helping me do so is a gentleman named Michael Poffenberger. Michael is the executive director or the lead in a group called Resolve. They're an advocacy organization here in DC. They're specifically focused on the LRA. And when I think of Michael, the two words that come to mind, and for those of you that are roadies and interns or have been in the past, I use this phrase a lot: humble confidence. The confidence that it takes to lead a sophisticated conversation, because he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. The confidence that comes with studying in excruciating detail the ins and outs, the history of this conflict. But the humility to say results are more important than brand names, results are more important than building your own image. Michael is one of the best partners that Invisible Children have, so is his organization. Welcome him to the stage, Michael Poffenberger. Good job, man.
I can't even begin to tell you, as somebody whose job it is to try to get the attention of our political leaders, and that's my mission for the past 7 years, how excited I am that you all are here right now. I think it's probably fair to say that together your voices are just a little bit louder than mine. When I first traveled to northern Uganda in 2004, what really drew me to want to advocate for peace and advocate to see an end to this crisis is the fact that the communities that were being most affected by the LRA conflict were some of the most impoverished and remote communities in our world. And as a result, their voices just weren't being heard by the rest of the world. And as Ben said at the time, it was considered one of the world's most neglected crises. And thankfully, and in no small part as a credit to all of you who are here today, a lot has changed since then. The LRA has even left Uganda. They're now operating in areas where you hear from their governments in a moment, in Democratic Republic of Congo, in South Sudan, in Central African Republic, and most recently even in Sudan itself. But one thing hasn't changed, and that's that the communities that are being affected, and this is no accident, this is the strategy that Kony and the LRA take. They target the communities in areas where effectively responding is the most difficult, where the rest of the world is the least likely to learn about what's going on. And as we gather here today and we rally today, and we call for Joseph Kony to be brought to justice, we recognize also that we're here to bring justice for those people, because we believe, we are united in our conviction that those people deserve that response, and they deserve safety and protection and good lives as much as any of us who are here today. And so, yeah. We're going to bring out on the stage in just a moment the people who are actually responsible for delivering those things, and we're going to hear from them directly about why it is that Kony has been allowed to do this for 25 years. What is it really going to take to see this brought to an end, and what you all can do to help see that happen. So we look forward to that conversation.
Thank you. Here we go. This video is going to announce panel number 1 of the Global Summit on the LRA. Thank you. Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army have become an international problem. Moving across national borders at will, they are currently impacting the security of 5 countries. Therefore, it will take a coordinated international campaign to stop them. This is not just a regional effort, it is a global effort. Humanity as a whole must invest in ending this brutality. And that is why we have gathered here today, because our liberty is bound together. After Joseph Kony became a household name this spring, governments around the world made very strong commitments. But promises without results are not enough, and awareness without action will not bring peace. That is why we are hosting the Global Summit on the LRA. Here with us today are representatives from the governments of the LRA-affected countries, as well as representatives from global institutions. If these 10 countries and institutions commit to work together and increase the support and accountability for the ongoing efforts, it will be impossible for the LRA violence to continue. This summit includes 2 parts. First, we will hear from the regional leaders, and second, from international leaders. Attending today are representatives from the 3 countries that are currently affected by LRA violence: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, and the Republic of South Sudan. Also in attendance is a representative from Uganda, where Joseph Kony and the LRA began over 25 years ago. Even as the LRA was pushed out of Uganda in 2006, the Ugandans have continued to pursue the end of LRA violence outside of their border. Invited but not present today is a representative from Sudan. Renewed evidence suggests that the government of Sudan may actually be providing support and safe haven to Joseph Kony and LRA fighters. And this summer, they even tried to block UN investigations into these claims. Also represented today is the African Union, which represents nearly every country on the continent. The African Union is implementing the Regional Cooperation Initiative to stop the violence of the LRA. Invisible Children welcomes these regional leaders to the Global Summit on the LRA. Welcome these leaders to the stage. Welcome these leaders. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Joining me on the stage is a special envoy from the African Union, Ambassador Madera. The Honorable Minister of Northern Uganda. The Deputy Minister of Defense of South Sudan, and the Deputy Defense Minister from the Central African Republic. As the video shared, we were committed to having every country invited represented, whether they sent high-level delegation or not. And unfortunately, as the video shared, the government of Sudan is not here and is likely providing support, or at minimum, safe haven for the LRA, and possibly even Joseph Kony's group itself. Additionally, the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo, their defense minister's bags were packed, but at the last second, the president did not give him clearance and authorize him to come. Highly disappointing, highly disappointing. The activity of the LRA in the DRC is immense. Over 300,000 individuals in the country are displaced as a result of the LRA. But the country has a lot of other issues, and some have even sparked up recently. And so we are disappointed that they are not here today, but we understand. The forum of this panel is going to go this way. It's going to start with a 5-minute opening statement from each of the representatives, and then we'll have a moderated Q&A. Mr. Defense Minister, you're going to go first. Thank you.
Tout d'abord, toutes mes salutations, et mon propos se tiendra en français dans la langue où je suis le plus à l'aise, mais permettez-moi avant de commencer de vous dire juste quelques mots dans votre langue.
Good morning, everyone. I will be speaking to you in French, which is my mother tongue and the one in which I feel most comfortable. But I greet you, and I'm pleased to address you this morning.
Just only few words to tell you good morning, welcome, and I'm glad to be with you today. Mes sincères salutations ainsi que celles de mon pays, aux millions d'auditeurs ainsi qu'aux participants et aux invités de marque, en leur rang grades et qualités qui ont bien voulu être présents à cet événement.
I want to begin by sincerely greeting the millions of those who are listening to these events and those who are participating, the invitees of all ranks and of all walks of life who have come to join us in this important gathering. My personal salutations and those of my country.
Je viens de la République centrafricaine, pays enclavé de 623 000 km², d'environ 4 500 000 habitants, dans 9 000 km de frontières qui font face avec 6 pays post-conflit.
I'm a native of the Central African Republic. That is a landlocked country of about 623,000 square kilometers, including 4,500,000 inhabitants approximately, and sharing some 9,000 kilometers of common border with 6 post-conflict countries.
Le potentiel de son économie réside essentiellement sur l'activité agricole, forestière, minière, la faune et la flore. L'éloignement de la région du Mbomu, où sévit la LRA, d'environ 2000 km de la capitale, l'expose évidemment à des actes de criminalité transfrontalière.
The economic potential of my country rests principally on agriculture, forestry, mining, flora and fauna, and the very remoteness of the Mbomu region, which is where the LRA hangs out some 2,000 kilometers from the capital, makes it particularly susceptible to the acts of cross-border crime that are its hallmark.
En 2008, l'opération Lightning Thunder contre la LRA, avec l'appui des forces américaines impliquant la RDC, le Sud-Soudan et l'Ouganda, n'a pas atteint l'objectif escompté. La LRA a échappé aux attaques aériennes et s'est dispersée en RDC, en République centrafricaine, plus précisément dans la région du Mbomu, où elle continue de commettre les exactions pour se venger, mettant en péril la croissance économique de la zone et la situation sociale de la population.
In 2008, Operation Lightning Thunder was launched against the LRA with the support and financing of the United States. It involved the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Uganda. Unfortunately, the operation was not successful. The LRA escaped the various air attacks and managed to disperse itself in the Democratic Republic of Congo as well as the Central African Republic, and most particularly in the RCA, in the higher Mbomu region, where the LRA continues to retaliate, committing atrocities and jeopardizing the economic development and social welfare of the region.
La LRA, rébellion armée constituée d'éléments organisés en groupes et sous-groupes très mobiles, utilisant des armes et moyens de communication modernes, opérant dans l'est de la RCA, multipliant les exactions sur la population avec sauvagerie et barbarie et se ravitaillant au détriment de celle-ci.
The LRA is an armed rebellion which involves organized groups and subgroups that are very mobile, that use very modern means of communication and arms, operating in the east of the Central African Republic, and involved in ever-growing numbers of atrocities on a very peaceful, loving population that has been subjected to its savagery and barbarism and being expropriated as the LRA lives off these people.
Exactions et atrocités qui ont un caractère et un impact social et économique. Sur le plan social, les assassinats et prises d'otages, les déplacements massifs internes de la population, les pillages et incendies des greniers, les déportations de jeunes gens comme enfants soldats et porteurs, l'enlèvement des filles et femmes pour servir d'esclaves sexuels, viols de filles et femmes en présence de leurs parents et maris.
I'd like very quickly to sum up the atrocities that the LRA has committed and continues to commit from a social and economic standpoint. On the social front, there are, of course, assassinations, kidnappings, massive displacement internally of the population, pillaging and setting of fire to the granaries, the deportation of many young people and child soldiers who were pressed into service either to fight or to be porters, the kidnapping of young women and older women to serve as sex slaves, and the ongoing rape of young women, little girls, and women of all ages in the presence of their parents and their husbands.
Sur le plan économique, une désorganisation totale du rythme des travaux agropastoraux, une destruction des activités synergétiques et touristiques, une désorganisation des échanges transfrontaliers, difficultés de transport et circulation des biens et des personnes, les pillages et exactions sur les productions minières et la pénurie de produits de première nécessité.
On the economic plane, there is a disorganization of the work cycles of the agricultural and pastoral workers in the fields, a destruction of the wildlife and the sites that would be good for tourism, a disorganization of border trade, blocking of transport and free circulation of goods and services, the pillaging and the atrocities that continue to be committed against mining producers, and scarcity of basic commodities.
Avec pour bilan des milliers de personnes tuées, plus de 20 000 kidnappés et proche de 2 millions de personnes déplacées.
The grim bottom line has meant thousands killed, 20,000 kidnapped, and nearly 2 million displaced persons.
Des mesures ont été prises dans le cadre du renforcement et de l'augmentation des effectifs pour sécuriser la région, la mise en place du protocole d'accord de non-agression et de défense mutuelle qui a permis aux forces ougandaises et aux forces armées centrafricaines de travailler ensemble, la création de la coalition des États affectés par la LRA avec l'implication de l'Union africaine, l'implication à travers un plaidoyer des Nations unies, l'appui salutaire positif des États-Unis et l'accord de soutien sollicité auprès des ONG pour assister la population.
What measures have been taken? We have strengthened and increased our troops on the ground from a security standpoint. We have put in place a mutual non-aggression and defense protocol, bringing together all of the states of the Great Lakes region, on which basis the Ugandan army works alongside the armies of the Central African Republic, as well as the setting up of a coalition of states affected by the LRA with involvement of the African Union in order to set up a regional intervention force and the establishment of a joint coordination and a joint coordination mechanism that is based in Bangui, that is the capital of the Central African Republic. There is also UN involvement. There is also positive support from the United States and an agreement with NGOs to assist the population.
Des difficultés résident dans la vaste étendue de la zone d'action de la LRA, 2400 km², des effectifs non conséquents pour couvrir la zone, des besoins en renforcement de capacité et de flux logistiques et des problèmes de communication et de voies de communication.
What are we up against? The difficulties involve, from the standpoint of the Central African Armed Forces, the very vast geographic region that we have to cover, some 2,400 kilometers. We have insufficient troops on the ground to cover the area. We need capacity building and logistical support. Our communications are not effective enough.
Des actions ont été menées à court terme, à moyen terme et à long terme. Pour ce qui concerne le court terme, la mise en place d'un état-major conjoint et la priorité donnée à la protection civile. À moyen terme, la réhabilitation des infrastructures et le développement de la sécurité communautaire. Et à long terme, le renforcement de la capacité opérationnelle des forces de la sous-région.
There are short-term, medium-term, and long-term measures that we know are necessary. Briefly, the establishment of a joint chiefs of staff body that would bring together the states that are affected by the LRA in order to carry out a more effective coordination in our fight against the LRA. Also, the adoption of a prioritization strategy for civil protection. In the medium term, the establishment of steps to reconstruct infrastructures in the area, and in the long term, the need to strengthen our capacity at the sub-regional level and to set up a longer term.
Donc, je me félicite des efforts que fait l'ONG Invisible Children pour son initiative qui permet de maintenir l'attention sur l'existence de la LRA, d'apporter une aide à une région défavorisée de mon pays et, bien entendu, de remercier le président Obama pour la signature de la loi sur le désarmement de la LRA.
So I want to take this opportunity to express my deep thanks and that of my country for everything that Invisible Children is doing to support this cause. I also wish to publicly thank President Obama for his involvement in the signing of a law that has made possible the deployment of U.S. logistical support in the area.
Thank you.
La LRA est une menace sous-régionale. Nous nous posons la question de savoir si Kony a une vision religieuse, politique ou lucrative. La grande crainte serait la cohabitation de sa rébellion avec d'autres tendances à caractère terroriste existant déjà sur le théâtre. Je vous remercie.
Let me very quickly end by saying that we know the LRA is a significant regional threat, but we ask ourselves what Joseph Kony's real intent is. Is it political? Is it religious? Is it lucrative? Is it money, profiteering? The great fear would be that that rebellious group would morph into other terrorist groups of the area, and that's what we're here to fight against.
Merci.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next up is the Deputy Defense Minister from South Sudan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to take part in this global effort to rid our region of the LRA menace. And I would like, at the onset, to express my profound gratitude to the Invisible Children organization and all of you who have come here today to take part in this campaign for your passion, care, and commitment to the victims of this senseless savagery. The LRA scourge originated 26 years ago in the neighboring Uganda when South Sudan was still at the height of anti-colonial war against its imperial neighbor, the Republic of Sudan. Due to facts of geography and geopolitics, this scourge overspilled and engulfed South Sudan in a spate of atrocities against South Sudanese people. Then the LRA became an inseparable tool of Khartoum counterinsurgency effort against South Sudan in its anti-colonial resistance. Following the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005, an overwhelming vote for independence in 2011, the LRA was completely cut out from its traditional external backer and had to take advantage of porous borders to establish sanctuaries inside the territory of the Democratic Republic of Congo. They were further pushed out from there as a result of a concerted regional effort involving Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. Currently, they continue to launch raids from across the border in the Central African Republic. As you have noted, further regional mechanisms have been deployed to rid our region of this dangerous phenomenon. In this vein, South Sudan availed its good auspices in 2007 to mediate a peaceful settlement to the conflict in northern Uganda, which the LRA derailed. In short, the LRA is an interesting inversion of what pro-people guerrilla campaign meant in our days of struggle. It is simply an anti-people effort. As you are aware, this scourge has exacted greater costs on the security and economy of this young nation. Innocent lives have been lost, children and women have been abducted, civilians have been maimed, farms have been destroyed, villages have been pillaged, and above all, it has put a greater burden on our budget. It is therefore has to be ended. 8 years after abandoning their bases inside South Sudan, where they had enjoyed the largesse of Khartoum, it is incomprehensible to see how else the LRA could have been still surviving without some external support. Therefore, this should be seen as a complex issue, and to paraphrase a German historian, Frank Nekovich, this situation is analogous to a dual key system and does not unlock unless the operators have turned their keys simultaneously. The multiple hands on each of these keys will somehow, someday, I hope, due to our collective pressure, passion, and engagement, relax the tension and agree on the simultaneous turning of the keys. And there will be peace in northern Uganda, and in all the countries of the region. Thank you once more for availing me this opportunity to share with you my thoughts and the concerns of my country and in the Central African region. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you once more and thank the government of the United States of America for its undivided commitment to help the people of Central African region to rid itself of this menace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Minister of Defense. The Honorable Minister of Northern Uganda.
Thank you. 26 years ago, the LRA attacked northern Uganda. That time I was a young person, and I wish we constituted ourselves into what you've done today. Kony wouldn't have gone very far. I thank you, the young people, what you are doing. After the 26 years, I'm now the minister in charge of rehabilitation of northern Uganda, trying to supervise how the rehabilitation and rebuilding of northern Uganda is taking place after total destruction by the LRA. I would like to thank the Invisible Children for taking up this initiative. In 2007-2008, These young people helped us as the people of northern Uganda. We came to Washington, and they constituted themselves into what they were calling Friends of Uganda, Invisible Children, Enough, and Resolve. They walked with us to the Capitol Hill and told us this: we have a senator who has passion for what's happening in northern Uganda. We want you to see this senator. Guess who the senator was? Senator Obama, now the President of the United States. I thank these young people for having that initiative. Kony has done atrocities in northern Uganda that sometimes I say what Kony did in northern Uganda is beyond human imagination and description, but we just try to imagine and describe. Kony abducted over 30,000 children in northern Uganda. Those are the ones who are accounted for, and those we have some unaccounted for. The children were made to kill fellow children or their own parents. They were raped while others were seeing. They were defiled. And nobody knew what exactly Kony was all about. It looked a joke, but like the English word goes that never underrate the intelligence of a fool. For 26 years, it disturbed the peace of northern Uganda. Northern Uganda came to total destruction, like the members of the Invisible Children would tell you. 2 million people and beyond lived in the people's internally displaced camps. We thought of what to do. We constituted ourselves into militia, and I put on uniform with some of the leaders and say we must fight him and support the UPDF. I would like to thank our army for having the passion, fighting for Kony, and giving in their blood. Most of them have left widows and orphans because Kony killed them in the bush. I want to thank the UPDF. I would like to thank the Parliament of Uganda for putting into legislation what may bring an end to Kony. I thank the UPDF. I thank the government of Uganda for making partnership with the right team like the United States of America. Having brought the issue of Kony into legislation means that United States of America is not only a friend, but a friend indeed. What goes into legislation is seriously taken by any community. I want to thank the AU and the regional governments, the ones we've partnered with. What would I say? We are committed to making sure that the menace of Kony, be it it's outside Uganda, is brought to an end. We want Kony arrested whether either he's breathing or he's not breathing. We want him to face justice, and we want him to go to the International Criminal Court when we get him. The destruction Kony has made, we have made a Marshall Plan for reconstruction of northern Uganda, but I would like to tell you this. What was destroyed for 26 years, we've tried to fix in the 4 years, but it takes a bit of time. What message does it give? The world must not condone impunity. The world must not condone the people who come and begin killing others without putting them into question and bringing them to books. The young people of today, I would like to speak to you. You've made a statement for the whole world, and your statement is to us, the leaders, and others who are not leaders. You are saying you do not agree with the impunity, and I would like to say that the future of the world is bright with you on the wheels like you've started. Thank you, the young people. Uganda as a country has a very young population of 65% of the young people. And you are the right people to advocate for them. Talk to your leaders. Let them know that these children need to be rehabilitated. These children need to go on the right path like the other children. It's very important that their area is brought to the level where you feel that any child must be. Health, education, and skills development for these children is very important. We are committed. I want to pledge as the Minister for Northern Uganda, I'll open my door and closely work with the people who are our friends like the invisible children. My President Yoweri Museveni, is very committed. In the audience, we have the Army spokesperson, Felix Kulaije, who has done an enormous job. We have our ambassador settled in DC. Northern Uganda desk for the LRA is in the embassy, Ambassador Dixon Ogwang. We have 2 members of parliament, Felix Sokoto Gong and Elijah Okupa, who was once abducted by the LRA. I want to thank you for listening to us. We need your support. Thank you.
Thank you.